In this movie we will discuss creating multiple forms. Up to this point we've only discussed using one form at a time. As you will see, creating a second, third, and fourth form is a very simple process. Before we begin adding a form, however, it's important to note that while we only had one form previously, we really were not concerned about renaming that one form. But for clarity and ease of use, we want to rename this first form. In this case, I'll call it main form. But it could be any name of your choosing. So I'll go to the name property and simply type main form, following the rules of the property, meaning that no spaces are allowed. I can then go down to the text property and change the name of the title bar of the form as well. So I'll give this a little caption to indicate that this is the main form. As you can see, that's now reflected on the one form in the project. So now we'll recognize this as our main form, or otherwise sometimes called the startup form. To add a new form to the project, you simply click on Project and then choose Add Windows Form. As you can see, there's a variety of previously installed templates for you to choose from. We will explore a few of these others in a later movie, but at this point we'll simply choose Windows Form. So by choosing the Windows Form category and then choose Windows Form. On the name, which is defaulting to Form 2, I will give this a different name, such as my new form. Again, this name is entirely up to you and obviously could be called something a little more meaningful. You complete the process by clicking the Add button, and now the second form has been created. If you look in the Solution Explorer window, you will see that my new form has been added to the list, as well as Form 1. You can also see that if I move the toolbox a little bit, you see there's additional tabs at the top. So now I have the ability to tab to my new form and then my original Form 1. So you can toggle back and forth between the two forms by using the tabs, or you can also click on the names of the forms in the Solution Explorer to activate each form as well at design time. To add a third form, we simply repeat the process. Click Project, Add Windows Form, go to Windows Form, and then provide a name. So I'll call this one my third form and click the Add button. So now I have 3 forms in my project. Once you start adding multiple forms, you may run out of room along the top of the tab area in Visual Basic. Notice there's a drop down button which displays the active files, which you can then choose to toggle or to make active any one of the forms that you have in your project. So this is also a convenient way in addition to selecting from the Solution Explorer. It is important to get used to navigating to the various forms, because when you start to write code for your applications, you will need to work with different forms, obviously. It's also important to note that each form in a Visual Basic project is considered a separate file and therefore in a separate class. Later we'll learn to display and hide each form, but for now we're just focusing on creating the forms themselves. Forms may be used in more than one project. You might want to use a form that you created from one project in another project. Each form that is saved has 3 separate files. All the information for the form resides in the files, which includes the code procedures and the visual interface, as well as any property settings for the controls. To add an existing form to a project, you click on Project menu and then select to Add Existing Item. And then of course you navigate to whatever project you want to add this form to. You will select only one file name, and that is the form name with the .vb extension. All other files will automatically be copied into the project folder. If you want to remove a file from a project, you simply select the name from the Solution Explorer. For example, if I want to remove my new form, I activate that form and then I can right click and choose Delete. I will be given a warning message that says I'm about to delete this permanently. If I click OK, as you can see from the Solution Explorer, I now have deleted that one form. You can also choose to exclude a project as opposed to removing the form entirely. Again, this time I'll choose my third form, and I could simply choose Exclude from Project. This will exclude the project but retain the form. Retain the form but not deleting the files that go with it. So as you can see, adding and removing forms is relatively easy in the Visual Studio environment. The trick becomes when you want to start to build in user interactivity so that the user can bounce from one form to the next and then send data from one form to the next. This will involve using form methods and events, which will be discussed in a separate movie.